Talk to me about testosterone. What levels do you like maintaining? How much do you supplement? How do you supplement?
Everyone should have the levels of a healthy 25-year-old from 1970. If you really want to change the world.
Before they changed the recommendations?
The recommendation, and before we flooded the world with estrogen, plastics, and all these other chemicals, because kids today have half the levels that they did 30 years ago. And adults do as well. And if you're sitting here going, I can't put on muscle and I'm tired and unmotivated, testosterone drives dopamine in the brain. So if you have enough testosterone, but not too much, suddenly you're excited and motivated to change the world. And if you wake up and you're just like, oh, maybe it's your testosterone affecting your dopamine and it's not the amount of effort you did. And what I found is that when I was overtraining reliably suppresses testosterone. So I have been supplementing testosterone since I was 26 when my anti-aging doctor showed me that my lab results on testosterone were lower than my mother. This actually happened. His name is Dr. Phil Miller, right? And I had some metabolic problems, you could say. So I've kept my levels between 750 and probably they peak around 1100 sometimes, but around 900 is where I want them. Different men with different backgrounds feel best at somewhere between at the low end about 750 and around 1100, but you got to find the number for you. And it's the one where you're not like trying to hump a doorknob because you're not too full of libido, but you feel like you can handle things and you feel like you want to take care of your family. And for women, it's the same thing. It's also a motivational hormone. Women have more testosterone than estrogen, but much, much less than men. So getting that level dialed in, it's about happiness and joy and motivation. It's not about sex. Sex is a side benefit.
Agreed. How do you take your testosterone? Injection?
Today I'm taking an oral testosterone for the past 3 months, which is a new form. It's called testosterone undecanoate. And before that, I've been injecting testosterone inthanate, which is common in the entire world except in the US. In the US, we use testosterone cypionate. Yep. Problem is, cypionate causes water retention. So I was always puffy on that stuff. So when I bought my testosterone in Mexico, because I was tired of getting it refilled here, suddenly I leaned out because I had the right form. Levels are the same. And before that, years ago, I would use a cream. The cream, though, you have to put in your armpit or in your groin. And creams are dangerous if you have young kids because even the amount of testosterone on a sheet, if you rub it on a baby, it's going to affect them. So you got to be really careful with that.
Some interesting TV episodes around that. I won't go there. So let me ask you a question. When you supplement with testosterone, and I do supplement, I do it with injection. I'll try the oral. I don't feel different with or without it.
What are your levels when you're injecting?
It's typically, they range depending on what I'm injecting, but they're in that range of 800 thereabouts.
Some people need 15 or 1800. I would double dose and see if you like your life. I mean, you really.
I love my life right now.
Okay, well, so you might not feel different because it's keeping you where you are. I have gone up to 1700 for brief periods just to see what happens, and I find it's a little easier to put on muscle. But I don't think that's necessarily worth it. And if I start getting pimples or something, that's an issue.
Because I've had this conversation with my medical team, and it's like, well, typically, if you're low on testosterone, you're sort of grouchy old man. You don't have the energy. You don't have the ambition. All of that. And I'm saying, I'm like the most optimistic person I know.
You are.
And I don't feel any different with. So I've stopped for like 3 or 4 weeks, and then gone back on, and I haven't felt a difference. So maybe
you didn't see a difference in like how you looked in the morning, energy when you first wake up. Nothing.
Oh, you look at yourself in the morning? Just kidding. I'm just super curious. How do you feel different? How often did you inject? How often do you take a pill?
There's a lot of studies that show injecting twice a week would be preferable, but I'm kind of lazy, so I would usually do it once a week. The reason I switched to the oral form, just as an experiment here, is allegedly it doesn't turn to estrogen as much as the other stuff does. I've had to carefully manage my conversion to estrogen like most people do. I don't use it pharmaceutically. I just do it with herbs. But the thing is, you get testicular shrinkage when you inject, unless you're using HCG or clomiphene or Arimidex. And all of those have a downside. So let's just say that testicular volume is not high on my list of personal characteristics that I care about. But given that this stuff doesn't suppress FSH, FSH is by itself a longevity compound. So there's emerging evidence that having FSH levels of a young person probably also keeps you older. So maybe the oral form works better. I'll tell you in 6 months.